I never thought I'd find myself telling this story, but sometimes the most unexpected moments deserve to be shared. My name is Olivia, and I'm 40 years old. I live in a cozy white house with flower beds that bloom every spring. My husband, Evan, travels a lot for work, and my daughter, Chloe, is away at college. Most days, it's just me and the sound of the wind in the trees. I've always loved the quiet, but lately, it started to feel like the walls were pressing in. I'd find myself pausing while watering my roses or staring too long out the window. I missed laughter in the halls, missed feeling seen. Then there was Jackson, the sweet boy next door. I've watched him grow up from a shy little kid with scraped knees into a strong, kind young man. At 19, he had that gentle awkwardness that made my heart soften. His dark hair fell over his forehead, and he always seemed a little unsure of where to put his hands when he talked. One warm afternoon, I was humming to myself in the kitchen when I heard a gentle knock at the door. When I opened it, there he stood with a blueberry pie in his hands, a gift from his mother. My heart lifted immediately. "Jackson." "Oh, this looks delicious," I said, pulling him in for a quick hug. I could feel him stiffen slightly, then relax. He always smelled like fresh air and soap. "Thank you," I added, taking the pie. "Please come in. I just made iced tea." He hesitated, but I knew he wouldn't say no to me. He followed me inside, and I poured us both tall glasses. We sat by the window, and I watched the way the sun played on his face. "So, how's your summer?" I asked, genuinely curious. He shrugged, giving me that boyish half-smile. "Just helping around the house, hanging out with friends. Nothing big." I listened, nodding, and felt this tug deep inside me, a need to reach out to him, to tell him something real. "You know, I remember when you were just a little boy chasing butterflies in the yard," I said with a soft laugh. "And now look at you." He blushed, and I could see him searching for words. "Yeah, time flies," he said shyly. I sighed, looking around my quiet kitchen. "It gets lonely sometimes," I admitted before I could stop myself. "This house is so big, and when Evan's away and Chloe's at school, it just feels empty." His eyes softened. I could see he felt bad for me, but I didn't want pity. I wanted connection. "You're always welcome here," I said, letting the words come naturally. "If you ever need a place to talk or just sit quietly, my door's open." His eyes met mine, then really met mine, and I saw something shift. He nodded slowly, and I knew he understood. We spent the next hour talking. He told me about his dreams, his uncertainty about college, and how he felt misunderstood by his dad. I listened, holding every word carefully in my heart. "You have such a gentle soul, Jackson," I told him, reaching over to rest my hand lightly on his arm. His eyes widened, and for a moment, he looked like he might cry. He whispered, "Thank you," and I knew he meant it deeply. Before he left, I hugged him again, holding him a little longer. "Remember anytime," I whispered. After that day, Jackson started visiting more often. He would knock lightly, and I'd always be there, waiting with a pitcher of iced tea and a smile. We'd work in the garden together or just sit on the porch and watch the sunset. Sometimes he'd bring his writing to share with me, little stories or journal entries. His words were tender and raw, and I encouraged every line. One evening, after planting marigolds in the garden, he stayed longer than usual. The stars had started to peek through the navy blue sky. I brought out a blanket, and we sat on the porch steps together, our shoulders brushing gently. "Olivia, do you ever feel like you're meant for something more, but you don't know what it is?" he asked suddenly, his voice small. I turned to him, taking his hand softly in mine. "All the time," I admitted. "But sometimes more isn't out there somewhere. Sometimes it's right here in the small moments, in finding someone who really sees you." He looked at me with that sweet, earnest gaze, and I felt my heart expand in my chest. I gave his hand a squeeze and leaned my head against his shoulder. In that moment, everything felt so gentle, so human. I realized then that Jackson needed someone to believe in him, to tell him he was enough. And maybe I needed someone to remind me that I still had something to give, that I still mattered. He started to blossom after that. He signed up for community college, focusing on creative writing. He started jogging in the mornings and even joined a local writing group. Each time he accomplished something new, he came running to tell me first. One afternoon, he arrived breathless, his eyes sparkling. "Olivia, they picked my story for the local magazine," he shouted. I threw my arms around him, laughing and crying at the same time. "I knew they would," I whispered into his hair. Years passed, and I watched him become the young man I always knew he could be, confident, thoughtful, with a bright future. When he published his first book, he invited me to his launch event. I sat in the front row, my heart beating fast as I listened to him thank all the people who helped him along the way. "And to Olivia," he said, pausing as his voice wavered, "for seeing me when I didn't see myself, for believing in me first." I covered my mouth with my hand, tears rolling down my cheeks. At that moment, I realized that a simple afternoon visit could change two lives forever. I never expected to find such a profound connection with the boy next door, but I did. And through him, I learned that no matter how empty a house might feel, it only takes one open heart to fill it with light again. If you ask me now, I'll tell you, the unexpected moments are the ones that shape us the most. I'll always remember the day Jackson knocked on my door with a blueberry pie, and I'll forever be grateful for the simple, beautiful love we shared, a love built on kindness, belief, and the gentle warmth of two souls finding each other exactly when they needed it most.